Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. For this video, we are going to attempt to build a display board for my spiders in 2 days. But before we continue, I want to go over the inspiration like usual. Because I built the army from the supplement, the Fall of the Necromancer, I decided to also build the layer of the Spider Queen, but use it more like a framework where I'm going to make the ruin itself a bit more dilapidated and run down, as I envision the Spider Queen making a giant burrow beneath the ruins, and because she's so massive, I'd assume when she comes in and out, she'll be breaking the stone structure and she's been here for a long time. So that's the basic idea I'm working with. But back to the box I'm using, it's the Game Master Army Painter set, and this is meant for beginners to get into building dungeons. But when I saw the contents of the box, it's actually a great start to jump into building terrain, and I'm actually not too well versed in this, so I think this video is my first real attempt at building a display board that I'm actually proud of, and I'll be using a picture frame. This is an old one I had laying about. It's heavily damaged, but I think with a little bit of work, we can use this and make an awesome display board. Now, the first step was to fill the open space. I simply used a giant piece of cardboard that I cut off, measured it, and I put a lot of hot glue. You can see it on the edges, and this thing has become now rock solid. So it's a great base to use, and I'm not too concerned about the cardboard as we're going to put a lot of stuff on top of it, so it should be solid and shouldn't fall apart. So the next step was taking a XPS foam from the Game Master Army Painter set and grabbing a foam wire cutter. I've never used one of these before, so this was my first time doing it. Pretty simple. You put the 2 batteries in, you click the button they tell you to, and it starts cutting the foam. Now I should warn you guys, you should wear some maybe like a mask or have a well ventilated area, as the fumes are not good to inhale. But I just start carving a irregular shape as this is meant to be a ruin. Not only that, I start envisioning what I want this ruin to look like, and I create this archway, no template, just some random measurements by 1-inch tiles, and this archway will change quite a bit throughout the process as I actually end up breaking it, so not the final version I had in mind. What you're seeing now is the original XPS foam. I'm just carving 1-inch tiles all across of it, as this will form the base of the abandoned ruin. It takes less than 30 minutes to do all of this, and I go back a couple times so the pen can actually score the XPS foam. This is meant to look like giant slabs of granite stonework, so really simple step. I've actually done this before for dungeon tiles, but this is just a larger scale I'm working with now. After that, I'm going to grab 2 different materials, one of them being an actual stone. I got it from my backyard, and all I do is simply roll it and stab the XPS foam. This is going to help get more texture onto it. Not only that, I will then grab a tinfoil ball. This is my primary tool, and I will also roll it across the whole surface, once again adding a lot more texture. We will plan to use a lot of dry brushing and a couple washes, so I want a lot of texture so it can pick up very nicely. So after about 40 more minutes of this, and using a ballpoint pen, I finished all the texturing on the original tile piece. I will then move on to grabbing some PVA and applying some offcuts. So this is just random bits of the XPS foam. This will stimulate more ruins and broken chunks of the granite, and I think it adds a lot more to the overall look of this abandoned fortress. So after that's done, you can see how the board is looking. I put some cork tile too to start creating some hills and preparation for some later steps. Onto the brick now. So this fortress will have a lot of stonework, and honestly I should have measured, but this is more just eyeballing it. I grabbed some of the XPS foam. I start carving lines going across, as you can see. Once I finish that, I will then cut a line going vertically, And this is creating all the foam bricks we'll be using for this project. Now, there are 1,000 different methods on YouTube, and from better terrain makers and D&D makers. This was my method because, again, I intend to build this whole board in one day and paint it in another day. So this is meant to be done within 48 hours, which is a bit insane, but I'm on a time crunch. And here is the fortress so far as it stands. So I just recorded this while I was cutting all those foam bricks out, but overall I'm really happy with the direction it's going. But again, the final product will be a little bit different than what you see now. And now I grabbed some drywall filler. You can get this from Home Depot, probably 10 bucks for a pretty large tub. I put a glove on as it's very sticky and hard to wash out, but I simply apply this to all of the basically XPS foam and any cork or any cork nuggets or pine bark you see. This will create a nice transition, so when you put the sand on top of it, it'll look very organic. So as you can see, I'm just smashing it to wherever I need to, smoothing it out. You don't have to sand this as we are going to glue sand and other textures on top of it. So moving along, we're going to grab some pine bark. You've seen me use this for my basing, and I've used this for other pieces of terrain. These will stimulate rocky outcrops you would see in the wild, and I think it just adds a lot more depth to the overall piece. So once we have that completed, you can see what the board looks like. Really happy with it. Everything's coming together very nicely. Again, it looks a little bit weird still, but at the moment I can kind of already see what it's going to look like with the basing on top of it. And now looking at the bricks, I probably cut out 200 of these little things, and you can see I'm just looking at them. I had to grab a tinfoil ball, and I know there's better methods to it, but I had to manually add the texture to each brick. I should have put everything in a box or a container and shaken it. I've seen that attempt or method used a lot. It was late at night and I didn't want to bother anyone, so I end up just taking my time with it and start placing the bricks one by one. And you can see after a solid 20 minutes of gluing bricks non-stop, I'm super happy with the way everything's coming along. I want everything to look very natural and organic, and I'm kind of envisioning where the bricks would topple when the structure is breaking. You know, this thing is meant to be hundreds of years old, so just going off of vibes at this point. But in the meantime, I am also gluing the sand to all of the exposed areas. As I'm trying to finish this whole build in one day, so 24 hours, I'm trying to maximize my time, as when I glue the sand, it'll dry, and then while it's drying, I can glue more of the bricks, as I will be basically gluing 200 plus bricks to this whole display piece. And at this point of the night, I was losing my mind. As you can see, a lot of bricks are on the board already. The thing is looking, in my opinion, amazing. I'm super happy with the direction it's going. Now the sand is down too. You can see how well the bricks, the offcuts, and everything is just blending all together. So super pleased with it. And for this part of the night too, you can see the back of this column. Super proud of it. Now this column became a slight issue as I was running out of bricks and steam. So this is the piece by the end of the night. So I did complete building it from morning until evening, 24 hours. However, you can notice an arch is missing. Well, when I tried gluing the bricks, it was so late I completely smashed it and I thought I lost the board. What I ended up doing was just making this last column a total wreck. I think this managed to salvage the whole display board. If I didn't do that, I wasn't sure how I was going to repair the arch, as I already hot glued the columns to their positions. But again, really happy with how everything looks. The sand is tying everything together. The bricks look great. I am super happy, even though I know realistically I have a lot more to learn and work with, as I know some areas I could have done better with. But I'll let you guys enjoy some of the scenery you see in front of you, as I'm really proud of it. Even though I have so much more to improve upon, I think for my first real attempt creating bricks and using a wire cutter and all of these techniques, I'm fairly happy with it. So the morning of, I grabbed a milliput for day 2 and filled the gap really fast. Then I went straight to priming. I used 2 rattle cans, 1 black primer and 1 Army Painter Oak Brown, and I'm really happy how much the primers have done for the work, as I have only 1 day to finish painting this board. So the first step is to grab my painting recipe, which I think this is GW Tuscarora Fur or Tau Orca Light, I think, and all I'm gonna do is dry brush all of the sand. Now this one was a good step, as any loose pebble or rock got knocked off. So really simple, I just dry brush as much as I can, and I put a little bit onto the ruins as I want some dirt to be on it, as this is supposed to be aged and weathered. And you can see once that's done, it honestly only took maybe 15 minutes of intensive dry brushing, but I'm really happy all the sand's already popping off, and we're honestly almost done with the base work now. Then we're gonna go straight to the stone and the ruin. So I grabbed the Army Painter Dungeon Gray, and I do a more heavy overbrush onto the ruin. As you can see just from this clip alone, having that brown and black undercoat adds so much shadow and different colors. Already we're cutting so much labor intensive steps for something so simple, and you can see on this column here how much it's picking up. And again, like I mentioned, I wish I had a bit more time. Some of the bricks you can see a little bit of loose foam on it, but at this point don't have time to worry about it. And here is the whole board once you have the Dungeon Gray applied. Already everything's looking awesome. Not much more to say, you can already see how everything's popping out, everything's very distinct. Honestly, if I was really crunched for time, you could stop here, but of course, we're gonna put 2 more dry brushes. The next dry brush is Army Painter Ashland Gray, I believe it's called, and you can see I'm more focusing on the top half of the ruins. This color is quite bright, but still subtle enough that you don't have to be super careful with the dry brush. Just apply it. This step should only take another 30 minutes, and now you can see the bricks are a lot more defined. The gray really is striking. Now moving back to the brown sand, it needs its last highlight. I use GW Flayed 1 Flush as per my basing guide, and we just apply it just more focused on quote-unquote highlights. So you can see it literally took only 10 minutes, and you can see certain patches are now popping out a lot more. Such a subtle highlight, but it's very effective at making the sand pop now. Now we'll do one very subtle detail using the green wash that comes in the Army Painter Game Master set. It's called Subterranean Moss. It's a very nice green, but very subtle, and I apply this primarily onto the bricks and the columns, and you can see from the video how nice this weird mossy green is. It's so subtle, even at the end result, it's not too noticeable, but these hints of color just add a lot more depth to the piece, and sometimes even though it's so subtle, that subtlety is key. And from here you can see what I'm talking about. You can see some patches have that moss green, but it's still not vibrant and in your face. But for the columns, it really made the gray color look so nice and aged. Really happy with it. Moving on to the last painting step, we're going to grab Army Painter White and apply a very subtle highlight on top of all of the bricks. Don't overdo it, as this white is very strong. And that's all the painting done. I did go add black to the center of the hole in the ground. I decided to go with water effects as I think that an extra element will make this board pop. But I'm really happy with just some simple steps you can achieve such an awesome looking ruin. Onto all of the basing for the ruin, I just have a variety of grass tufts and some trees. Now I will be honest, my plans did change throughout the project. This first step you're going to see, I have an old container of the GW static grass. All I do is apply some small, about 1 to 5 millimeter in length globs of Elmer's glue, and I just put the static grass on. I'll let it dry for about 10 minutes and then you can move on. And here's the board with all of the static grass done. Already looking really awesome. I don't overdo it as I want the grass to be sparse as the spiders have been going in and out from their home. After the static grass, I'm going to apply some Loctite super glue, grab the Army Painter Dungeon grass tufts that came in the set, and apply it with tweezers. Now I primarily focus these grass tufts into the corners of the building and the bricks, as I have to consider where all the miniatures will be placed. So when you build your display piece, you have to consider your whole army has to sit on top of this thing. So if you put too many, grass clumps or bushes or other objects, it'll get in the way and your models may end up not fitting upon your display board. Moving on to the trees, I actually grab 2 of the rattle cans I primed and I shoot underneath it. This gives the trees a lot more depth. After the trees, I make some water effects that I'm going to pour onto the display piece. Now, I'm sorry guys, I ran out of footage as I tried completing this board in one day. So please sit back and enjoy the grand reveal with some afterthoughts as usual for the whole process and how it ended up. So there you guys have it, the completed army on the display board. What an amazing 2 weeks it's been to reconnect with an old game system that I loved and trying out new techniques on this display board. I am super excited to attend Nova and play some games and see other hobbyists. So I hope you guys enjoyed this whole journey. After this, I'll show the board itself and talk a bit more about what went well. So onto the board itself, what can I say besides the fact that I am 99% beyond happy with this thing. There's 1 or 2 elements that I will discuss further, but looking at the board without the spiders, it feels like this is a hobby dream of mine. Basically, I was inspired so much by the Fall of the Necromancer supplement and for the Spider Queen's lair, and I followed as closely as I could for how GW put webs on their old style trees. I even had to hunt down these old trees, and to see everything come together so naturally, I'm super happy. Now the only critique I have for myself, I couldn't put the webs in the middle hole, it just wouldn't fit. And these webs, I tried varnishing them. I think long term they may fall off, but I can always reapply them then. But maybe I should have coated them in PVA, but I was worried I would lose the very thin element that makes the spider webs look like spider webs. So overall, really happy. The water effects came out great. The webbing came out overall fantastic. Only thing is it's a little bit messy here and there, but again, really happy that I managed to finish this board in the 2 days I gave myself. So I hope you guys enjoyed this whole video. I enjoyed the whole process, and I'm probably going to make more of these boards in the very near future.